you realize that playing in the NFL was the best thing that never happened, because it got me here. So my point is, look, you're going to get your ass kicked. We're going to get the shit kicked out of us. You got to get up. You got to have faith that the one thing you wanted to happen oftentimes is the best thing that never happened. So have faith. Just keep that in mind and keep plugging away. Okay, in between sets, as I'm working out, and as I often do in between sets, I slide into your comment section nice and I read your comments just so we could stay connected, and I always know what's on your mind and I can address it. So somebody just asked me a cool question, said, DJ, you're on top. Where could you possibly go from here? And you always talk about outworking your competition. Who's your competition? It's a great question. Thank you for the compliment, by the way. I'm fortunate enough to be on top, but anytime you reach the top, you always want to make sure that you have the desire to raise the bar and take the brass ring to places it's never been. That's the key with being on top. Just because it's never been done doesn't mean it can't be done. And in terms of competition, great question. Everyone's my competition, but a fundamental key that I've learned over the years is, and I'll share it with you, my number one competition is me. It's always you versus you. You got to be the one to get up every morning, be disciplined, put in the consistent daily hard work, because that gains success. No coach, no trainer, no mentor, no boss can do it. You versus you.
I knew I wanted to be something, and it was important to me to be something. It was important to me that I didn't fail. But by the way, and if I did fail, at least what was also important was the lesson. And I didn't realize that until I got older, because when you're in it, you're in the grind, you don't really recognize those things when you're younger, but I could recognize it now and the importance of them now. And just in terms of the drive and the determination, a lot of it was experience too. You get your ass kicked, you get back up, and you put the gloves back on and you swing away.
All right, Saturday afternoon, empty gym, the way we like it, tripping over here. It's leg day, which means it's going to be sweaty, painful, and fun.
They say that nothing good happens in the 4 a.m. hour. Well, I can guarantee you this. It's 4:45 a.m. It's still dark outside. Look at that. The lights just went out, and I'm getting ready to kill this AM cardio.
Train twice. I'll get my cardio in and breakfast, and then I'll go hit the weights. Clanging and banging, we call it.
The masters make the hardest things in the world look easiest. And in the moments where you push yourself, when no one else is around, those moments have a tendency to lead to success.
Oftentimes when I see kids and they have been labeled, oh, they're punk kids, but there's good in them. And we got to see that potential. And I enjoy that today, seeing potential in kids just like he did, especially kids who are kind of wayward and have been going through it. I know what it's like.
Our most powerful and most important is when we just embrace who we are. It's just believing in yourself and embracing who you were born to be.
Whether it's 3 o'clock in the morning, by the way, when we were talking in London, I was getting up at 3 because I had to be on set by 4. So whatever time my call time is, those are directors and our producers, whatever time my call time, so my call time is at 7, then you back your clock up 4 hours, and then that's when I get up and train twice.
Just wrap that 4 a.m. cardio. There's no substitute for hard work.
I get up super early. Generally, I have this thing where I like beating the sun up, not just in terms of before the sun comes up, I have to get up. And how do I do it? It's just important to find balance, and I try and do things really that I really enjoy doing. And a lot of times, it's like in life, right? Life brings like drama, and you got to deal with this person and a funky relationship here, and all these things. Work 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day, get up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
I don't know if there's a golden rule. I can tell you this, that I believe anything is possible, right? I live in the world of possibility. And I also believe that we can accomplish anything with our 2 hands and just putting in the work with our 2 hands. And also, you hear this often, but it's really, really true. You got to find something. If you love what you do and be passionate about what you do and find something that you can be passionate like, it really helps. It gives you that motivation when you wake up in the morning.
Consistently being told that whatever it is that you want to do, you've got to get after it. You got to get after it. There's no substitute for hard work. Hard work always pays. Those type of mantras over time. And those are your examples of what it's like to get beat down, what it's like to get, just in terms of the struggle, what it's like to be evicted out of your apartment, what it's like to have your car repossessed and watch your parents go through that I think is defining as a kid.
I grew up, there was a period of time where I was making a lot of mistakes, David. I was getting arrested multiple times. By the time I was 16, I was arrested maybe 7 or 8 times, fighting theft, doing a lot of things that I shouldn't have been doing. I was really lucky that I had a couple of people who, along with my parents, who saw the potential in me even when I didn't see the potential in me. And it wasn't until I got older, had a little bit of luck, a little bit of success, that I started to understand the value and the power of someone giving back.
I go back to my coach. What do I need to do to play in the NBA? The list got shorter. The next year we went all the way to the Elite Eight. We were one shot away from the Final Four, and I was the top 6 man in the country. I carved out a niche. And that's what impact players do. They make their community better. They make their city better. They make their town better. They make realtors better. Be an impact player, and anyone in your life, if they need a shark, you become their shark. All I had to do was have one good year, and I'll walk right into the NBA. My senior year, everything lines up. But the first game of my senior year, I break my foot. I come back in 6 weeks, and I break my foot a second time. In my mind, my college career was over, and my NBA dreams were dead. I averaged 7 points a game. I got offered a $75,000 job because one of our season ticket holders liked it. Right before I took the job, my daddy called me on the phone. He would always ask the right questions at the right time. He said, "You had a tough year, son. What's next?" I said, "Daddy, I'm going to be a hospital administrator, $75,000 job." He said, "Not bad, son, but can I ask you a question? Do you believe you're an NBA player?" Come on now, Dad. I only average 7 points a game, Dad. We're not like these other black families that just need basketball, Dad. We're educated, Dad. We're not dependent on basketball, Dad. We're balanced, Dad. We're educated, Dad. I got a $75,000 job, Dad. Do you believe, son? He was checking my mindset. He was checking to see, was I thinking like an A student? Or was I falling back into that C mindset? Do you believe you're an NBA player? I said, "Yeah, Dad, I do." He said, "Well, go for it, son, but Dad, I never started in college, but. My father said, "You told me, son, that you're going to turn that program around, and you did it from the bench, son. You told me you're going to graduate in 4 years, son. The average student graduates in 5. I'm proud of you. But you told me that you're going to play in NBA. And you told me you're going to make more money in business than you did in sports. Do you believe you're an NBA ball player?" "I do, Daddy." "Go for it, son. Go for it." I go back to my coach's office, and I said, "Coach, what do I need to do to play in the NBA?" He teared up. I teared up. He said, "I'll be honest with you, son. When I recruited you, I heard you was a mama's boy. But you're not. In fact, you're one of the toughest players I've ever had. I'm a Hall of Fame motivational speaker. I go all over the world running my mouth. But he gave me the greatest compliment I've ever received. He said, "You're just like your daddy." And I was a sucker fish. But that moment was my opportunity to turn into a shark myself. If you hang around sharks long enough, it will transform your mindset. And I promise you, you will be like a shark. You will think like a shark. And you can't go backwards. And if you stop swimming, you will die. Brian Buffini, he can't go backwards. And if he stops swimming, he will die. So ladies and gentlemen, you're connected to the right shark. All you need to do is be a good sucker fish. Success is all around you. Just pay attention. Every time you leave a business meeting, consciously and subconsciously, that person keeps reaching you. Are you likable? Do you brighten up a room when you enter, or do you brighten up a room when you leave? Are you good with people? And don't you ever be a Sarah parasite, which means don't you ever come to this conference and go back home and do nothing. And then claim, "Oh, well, I tried and it didn't work." No. My college basketball coach said, son, I think you should be a motivational speaker. I said, Coach, I can talk the rest of my life. What do I need to do to play in the NBA? He said, if you do these two things, you'll play in the NBA. You got to better shoot the three-point shot with range. And you got to lose about 15 pounds because you don't pass the eyeball test. When I talk about the eyeball test, I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about me. He says the NBA thinks you're a football player trying to play basketball. You got to lose weight to change the perception. I lost 15 pounds. And I became the first ever undrafted rookie free agent in the history of the NBA to start opening night. God has an incredible life for you. But you ain't going to get there if you give up. You can't get to what God got for you if you stop. You can't get to what God got for you if you're afraid. But the best things in life is on the other side of fear. But one of the things that I've always done to help overcome my fears is I make my dreams bigger than all my fears. God really does want to use you as an example of what he can do. You just got to volunteer. But you got to be willing to go through something to get to it. Success ain't free. They ain't passing out money, man. Ain't nobody sending none to your house. That ain't how this works. You got to go get it. But in order to go get it, you got to want something. You got to have vision boards. You got to have stuff you dream about. You got to have this stuff written down. That being successful is not an accident. You know what I can't stand when I hear Christians say, if it was the Lord's will, I would have had some money by now. No. You can't dump that on God. God's will is that you prosper. That's his will. Now, the fact that you done made some adverse decisions to stop your prosperity train from happening, don't dump that on him. God got a great life for you, man, but you got to want something. You got to want it, you got to write it down. Most people don't have what they want in life because it ain't written down nowhere. You must write the vision and make it plain so that he who reads it will run to it. And even though it tarry, that means take a long time. Wait for it, for surely it will come at an appointed time. That's a scripture. That's a scripture. This ain't no philosophy. It's a fact. What you waiting on? Write it down. Put some faith on it. And then get ready to go to work. Sit up and you can believe in God all you want, but if you don't work, man, it ain't gonna happen. And he told you that, though. He said faith without works is dead. I'm just asking you, man, to try something new. If you've tried everything, it ain't worked for you. I'm just asking you, just try writing it down. After you write it down, I want you to put some faith on it. When you put some faith on it, I want you to work for it. Now, you might not want this life. You might not want what it takes to get here. But if you want this life, you got to put in your work. You got to put it in. You got to never give up. You got to talk to God every day. Now, if that ain't what you want to do, then good luck. You keep doing what you've been doing, you're going to keep getting what you've been getting. Now, I would try something else if I was y'all.
Some people don't want anything much. Most people operate in the area of survival. Now, but there are some people who that just surviving is not enough. I believe that there are three types of people in life. There are winners, there are losers, there are winners who've not discovered how to win yet. And these individuals, it's something about them that drives them, that they will invest in themselves. They go to seminars and workshops and lectures, and they're seeking, there's something in them that says, I can do better than this. That there are people who would be glad to be where they are and would be happy, but they're not. I was reading a story about George Bernard Shaw, who was a very brilliant man in his day. Somebody asked him, if you had to be anybody in the world, you had the power to be born again, who would you like to come back as? And without blinking, he said, I'd like to be born as the man I never was. I'd like to be the man I never was, I never became. Well, every time I speak, I see this as such a sacred opportunity. Sometimes I think I'm dreaming, because when I look back on my life, this Les Brown that you see was in bondage for so many years. Didn't come out till late in my life. In bondage with fear. I wanted to do what I'm doing. I thought about things I wanted to accomplish, and I held myself back because I was afraid to fail. I was afraid that I would embarrass myself. I was intimidated by people who had college degrees. And so I would think about the things I wanted to do, and then I would start thinking about the fact, Les, you can't do that. You don't have a college education. Les, come on, be logical, be practical. Oh, yes, I know people told you have a gift of gab, and you have a nice personality, and you're funny, and you make people feel good, and you make them laugh, but you become a speaker, train and teach people, and motivate people to do something you've never done? You can't do that, Les Brown. See, my heart said I can do that. And then I made a critical mistake. I asked how. The mind became operative and said, Les Brown, I heard what your heart said, but I want to ask you, how will you do that? And so I went from my heart to my mind. That time I wanted to earn $1,000 an hour. My mind said, do you make $1,000 a week? I said, no. Have you ever done this before? I said, no. Okay. Have you any contacts with anybody that can teach you how to do this? No. Do you have the money? No. Do you have the credentials? No. Well, let me ask you, do you really think you can do this? No. There's an African proverb that says, if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do you no harm. How many of you ever thought about something you wanted to do? You felt it in your heart, and you talked yourself out of it. Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. I talked myself out of it. No one did it to me but me. Sometimes we have to stand up inside ourselves. Sometimes we have to fight ourselves. Sometimes you have a dream and goal that you want to achieve. And you say, oh, I can't do that. You got to tell yourself to shut up. Don't tell me I can't do that. Sometimes you got to talk to yourself. Oh, I can do this. Oh, I will do it. I have got to do this. What you think about your dream? And I want you to increase your dream. I said you have something special. You have greatness in you. You have the ability to do more than you can ever begin to imagine. Greatness, it's a choice. It's not your destiny. Most people, ladies and gentlemen, go to their graves living a life of mediocrity.
So here's one of the key questions of the evening. Starting tomorrow, what are you going to do that'll make a change in your life's direction? What are you going to do starting tomorrow that'll make a difference? Now see, if you don't do something starting tomorrow that'll make a difference, guess what? It's gonna be the same. And see, that way you can guess what the next 5 years are going to be like. Look at the last 5. Unless you, major key, tomorrow, change it all.
The most important thing that we have a very clear vision of where we go. A goal, where do we go? Because you can have the best ship in the world. You can have the best cruise liner, but if the captain does not know where to go, that ship will drift around the world and out there at sea and will never end up anywhere. And this is exactly the way it is in real life. If you don't have a goal, if you don't have a vision, you just drift around. You're not going to be happy. This is why it's so important to have that vision.
A fool is the precursor to the Savior. Why? Because you're a fool when you start something new. And so if you're not willing to be a fool, then you'll never start anything new. And if you never start anything new, then you won't develop. And so The willingness to be a fool is the precursor to transformation. And that's the same as humility. And so if you're going to write your destiny, you can do a bad first job. You're going to get smarter as you move forward. That's the thing, is that, so something beckons to you. That's what happens here. Maybe the star that Geppetto wished on was the wrong damn star. But at least it was a star, right? At least it was in the sky. At least it moved him forward. And so you say in your life, well, something grips you and it fills you with interest. And you think, well, should I do that? And the answer is, if not that, then something. What if it's a mistake? It's a mistake. Rest assured. What do you know? You're going to stumble around, right? And what's going to happen is this. You're going to move, you're going to not stay in stasis. You're not going to wander around in circles. And I see people like that. They said, well, I never knew what to do, and now I'm 40. It's like, that's not so good. That's not so good. And you might say, well, and there is a literature, too, that suggests that people are a lot more unhappy when they look back on their lives about the things they didn't do than they are about the mistakes they made while they were doing things. And so that's really worth thinking about, too, because there's redemptive mistakes. And a redemptive mistake would be a mistake that you make when you go out and try to do something. You know, you think, okay, I'm going to try to do this. And you're not good at it. You make a bunch of mistakes. It's like, what's the consequence if you pay attention? You're not quite so stupid anymore. That's the thing, is you've been informed by the results of your errors. So what happens is you follow the beacon, you follow the light, and you're blind, so you don't know where the light is. It's dimly apprehended only, and you're afraid to follow it. But you decide to take some stumbling steps towards it. And as you take stumbling steps towards it, you become illuminated and enlightened and informed because of the nature of your experience, because you're pushing yourself beyond where you are, and you're going into the country that you have not yet been in, and you learn something. And so what happens then is the star moves. You move 10 feet towards it, and you think, no, that's not right. I didn't get it right. It isn't there. It's actually there. And so then you see it somewhere else, and you shift yourself slightly, and you move forward. And that's what happens, is that you continue as you change. The thing that guides you forward moves, right? It's like God in the desert in Egypt, the pillar of light that you're following. It's moving. It's not a permanent thing. You move towards it, it moves away. It guides you forward. And so you say, well, is what I'm aiming at paradise itself? And the answer to that is no, because what do you know? You couldn't see paradise if it was right in front of you, but you might get a glimmer of it. And so you move towards it and you grow. And then the next time you open your eyes, you see a little bit more clearly. And that's what happens, is that just happens over and over, right? It keeps moving. And so you move like this. But the thing that's so cool is that all those zigs and zags, you say, and each of those zags and zigs is a catastrophe. I hit a wall, my God, and then I had to die a little bit, and I barely got back up. It's a phoenix transformation at each turn. And it's painful. But the thing is that even though you've traveled 20 miles, let's say, on that road, and you've only moved 3 miles forward, you've moved 3 miles forward instead of falling backwards, because that's the thing too, is that if you stand still, you fall backwards. You cannot stand still, because the world moves away from you if you stand still. And there's no stasis, there's only backwards. And so if you're not moving back forwards, then you're moving backwards. And that's more of the underlying truth of the Matthew principle. To those who have everything, more will be given. From those who have nothing, everything will be taken. It's a warning. Do not stay in one place. Well, as you zig and zag, maybe the cataclysm of each transformation starts to lessen. There's not so much of you that has to die with every mistake. And maybe you end up oriented at least reasonably properly. And if you were sensible, that would have been your trip. But it wasn't, right? It's that. And perhaps it's a lot worse than that. Perhaps there's no shortage of backtracking. But it doesn't matter, because as you stumble forward, you illuminate and inform yourself. And perhaps that's partly because the world is made of information. And if you encounter it and tangle with it, then it informs you. And then you become informed, and then you're information, and then you're ready.
Nobody gets a degree by mistake. Nobody wins the Olympics by mistake. Nobody runs a race by accident. Success is always intentional. You have to run after your destiny. There are certain things that will happen in your life that make you pick up the pace. The one thing I can tell you for sure is that nothing is for sure. And I want to say to you that if you run after your destiny, you won't have to fight with your history. You won't have time for your history if you run after your destiny. I want to wake you up out of struggling with old ghosts. Casper, the friendly ghost, is dead. I want you to shake yourself and understand it's time to run after your destiny. Everybody in the text is running after their destiny. If they are running, why are you still standing there? It's the one thing I can tell you to count on is don't count on anything. That life will often disrupt what you expected. That just as soon as you have it down in a nice, neat little box of how you think it's going to go, and that when I walk down here, this is what is going to happen, by the time you get there, it will never be what you expected it to be. So you got to get used to being a little disappointed. You got to get used to being a little bit shocked. You got to get used to walking into situations and being flexible and adjustable. Because if you are not flexible, you cannot survive. If you hear me good, especially young people, if you run after your destiny, you will automatically distance yourself from your history. You understand? If you just run after what's in front of you, you will escape what's behind you. Don't spend all your time trying to fix what's behind you, because you'll never be able to fix what's behind you. You have to run after what's in front of you. I don't dress like you. I don't walk like you. I don't act like you. I'm a runner. I'm not built like you. I don't think like you. I'm a runner. Shout out.
Don't live frustrated thinking that there's something wrong with you, trying to prove to them who you are, trying to convince them to affirm you. Let it go. There's nothing wrong with you. If you had to have it, they would give it. Since you don't, shake it off. Keep your head held high. Your value doesn't come from people. It comes from your Creator.
Either you take on the shape of your environment, or you resist it and transform by the renewing of your mind. Everything you've ever changed about your life started in your head. It started in your head. It started in your mind. It started with a decision. It all starts in your mind.
What we think is the best, many times, is far less than what God has in mind. You haven't seen your best days. You may feel stuck. Doors have closed. That all happened for a reason. The best part of your life is not behind you. The best part of your life is the next part of your life. You wouldn't be discouraged over that door that closed if you knew what God was about to open. You haven't seen or imagined what God has in store.
Many people give up on the 1 yard line. See, life is not just that simple. It's not that cut and dry. And that's why most people never realize their personal greatness, because they're casual about life. And when you're casual about life, you will end up a casualty.
You can't get out of something that you're not willing to put into it. You have to put your everything, your mind, your energy, your effort, your discipline. Nothing is going to jump out the fire if you don't throw something in there. It's not going to happen. It's a commitment. It's not a feeling. You do it because you're supposed to.
Try your best to trust God. Trust God's timing. And when He is sending you bold signs and wonders, use those as confirmation. When God is trying to steer you in a particular direction, it's like little pieces of popcorn down a hallway. And at some point, you're going to get to that whole bucket.
Love yourself. Make caring for you the highest priority in your life. Look out for what truly satisfies you. We're not taught to look out for ourselves. We're not taught to take care of ourselves, to become sensitive to our wants, our desires. So make a conscious effort. Make you number one priority. Your health is more important than your family and any and everybody. Because if you don't have your health, you can't serve anybody. Don't neglect yourself.
Greatness takes tremendous focus. It takes decisions that you make, and you can't always have everybody approving of what you know you're supposed to do. And the sooner you understand that, the sooner you'll do great in life. You cannot have the approval of everyone and be great. You're always going to live your life at the lowest common denominator of your friends if you don't watch it.
When you receive the message, when you receive the confirmations that these people that are around you are sucking you dry, so how could you have any love left inside of your heart to take care of your kids or your family when you got these people around you that are sucking you dry? I got nothing left. I'm going down. I'm melting.
So feeling safe and feeling secure is very important to me, and I think it's very important to every single person. I think that God created us to feel safe, secure, confident, and bold. Your soul maybe has it blocked, but God did not create you for fear and worry and insecurity and a lack of confidence and extreme shyness and extreme timidity.
You will become whatever you cultivate. Whatever you feed, that's what's going to grow in your life. I'm saved, but I gotta change my diet. I'm saved, but I gotta change who influences me, who speaks into my life, who feeds my mind, who determines what looks good on me, who determines what I can do and who I am. What's wrong with you is all those people who knew you win. Because if they knew you win, they'll hold you to back then. I gotta go.
Too many people looking for identity and value, and they're looking for it in all the wrong places. They look for it in what they do, who they know, what they own, what they look like. And I think that we need to do our best to look as good as we can. All I can say is take what God's given you and do the best you can with it. But don't be comparing yourself with somebody else.
I become confident when I get the right view of other people and I get the right view of myself. It's amazing, right? You ever notice that arrogance requires advertising, but confidence speaks for itself? In fact, insecurity, cynicism, and arrogance, they're all loud. But confidence doesn't even have to speak, because confidence isn't based on your words. Confidence is an action. It's an ability to step into the moment and say, I'm not backing down. I'm not quitting. I got my confidence back and I can fulfill.
Your tongue is the rudder for your life. It's determining the direction. Next time you're tempted to say something negative about yourself, your future, your finances, zip it up. Don't steer yourself toward defeat. Say not, you're too young. Say not, you can't accomplish your dreams. God wouldn't have given them to you if you weren't well able.
Why are you living a life to impress them? Why are you placing value on what they think? Doing all these things to impress them? Why? I'll tell you something right now, man. You need to place value on the people who love you at your worst. Because those are the people who deserve to be there when you're at your best.
If you don't heal from emotional wounds, you will bleed on people that had nothing to do with it. How many people are living wounded over how they were raised, a friend that walked away? Instead of letting it go, they replay it in their mind. They wonder why they don't have good relationships. It's because they haven't healed. They're living out of a wounded place.
Isn't it amazing how one bad relationship can ruin all of your other relationships? If we're really being honest tonight, most of the pain in our life, it comes from relationship pain. Some of the hardest things for us to get over, they're attached to people.
Despise not the day of small beginnings. And so many people say, when I get a big break, when a big door opens, when somebody notices me. But that is not the key to success. The key to success is to start where you are. Right where you are. Not when things get better, but start where you are.
The only thing worse than one who is inconsistent in applying their self-imposed disciplines is one who has never considered the need or the value of discipline at all, changing loyalties and shifting frequently from one commitment to another, leaving behind a trail of broken friendships and unfulfilled promises, all because of a discipline that was either non-existent or imposed so infrequently that it was ineffective.
Most of us are worried about suffering. We're afraid of it. When we're suffering and sacrificing, we wonder whether it's worth it. We wonder whether sacrifice or setbacks or suffering is a sign it's not our real dream. See, at the gym, you never think, oh, I'm going through some pain and discomfort. This must be a sign I shouldn't be at the gym. You never think that. You have to break it down, suffer and sacrifice for it to grow.
When you need motivation yourself, don't look for someone to scream and yell. Don't look for someone else to give you motivation. Look at yourself and remind yourself why you are doing what you are doing. This temporary pain, this fight, this is what will make you stronger.
That's the key word, discipline, self-discipline, consistent self-discipline. It doesn't really matter how smart you are or how much you know if you don't use it. Better than knowledge is applied knowledge. And once we've applied our knowledge, we must study the results of that process.
Get the clutter out. Start letting some of this junk go to make some room for something else. Do that with people. There's some people who's cluttering up your life. They're just holding and occupying a space that somebody useful, positive could be holding that space. You don't even have time to look to see what else is out there because you all have all of these people surrounding you that's not enabling you to grow.
Some of you tonight, you've experienced someone failing you. Maybe your mom was never there. Maybe it was a boyfriend who promised you the world but took off. Before you know it, what happens is these failures are holding us back from getting into our future. And these bad relationships are blinding us from all of the good potential relationships.
Success is all about building relationships. It's not what you know, it's who you know. Some people might not step up when you ask them for help. But guess what? The worst thing can happen to you. If somebody refuses you, you didn't have it anyway. Ask people. You never know. Suppose they say yes. That could be the turning factor.
You will travel in the direction of your thinking. If you think down, you will go down. If you think up, you will come up. The way you think about your situation determines your reality. The way you think about your family determines your reality. The way you think about yourself. You're not being hurt by the way people think about you. Many of those people are a reflection of how you think about you. If you think about yourself a certain way, you will attract people who think about you a certain way. And you will expel from your life people who do not line up with how you think about yourself. The mind then becomes the battleground. The mind, Satan is always trying to do battle to take over your mind with warfare. Some of you is fighting your thoughts right now.
I want to begin the process of deserving. What would that be? What process should I begin engaging in to deserve good health, to deserve a good relationship? What must I do to begin the process of deserving?
There's enough people that are telling us we can't do it, that we're not good enough. Why do we want to tell ourselves that? We know for a fact that thoughts influence actions. We need to get our own self-affirmations. There need to be quiet moments in your bedroom, quiet moments when you're brushing your teeth, that we need to reaffirm, I am the captain of my ship and the master of my fate.
If you don't know who you are, you'll discount yourself, thinking, oh man, I'm ordinary, nothing much to offer, nothing special about me. Now life will try to make you feel like you're anything but amazing. Disappointments, betrayals, rejection will try to steal your sense of value. But all through the day, despite what thoughts are telling you, despite who left you out, you need to remind yourself, I am amazing. I have been wonderfully made. Don't go around feeling ordinary when in fact you're extraordinary. People may try to make you feel average. You don't have much to offer. Are you going to believe what people say about you or believe what God says about you? You're amazing. Have you ever said that to yourself? It has to start on the inside.
If people can understand that as long as they don't forgive, they're poisoning themselves. It's like me being mad at somebody who hurt me that's out having a good time and don't even care that I'm mad. That doesn't hurt them. It's pointless. It's like, okay, you hurt me, but now if I'm going to hate you, then I'm letting you continue to hurt me. And you're controlling my life, and I'm not going to do that.
It is your values. It is your ethics. It is how you make choices that get you promoted. It is not your strength. It is not your talent. It is not how you fight. It is not how you draw. It is not your intellectualism. It is your values. So that when you're backed up against the wall and you have to make a decision, true leadership is how you make decisions in the moment. What do you care the most about? Being seen or being connected?
Doors of opportunity are open to those who continually knock. So we don't find open doors of opportunity because we need them. We find them because we deserve them. Only those who knock deserve to find an open. It says, if you search, you will find. Finding is reserved for the searchers because they deserve it. Now, at first they may have needed it, but they now know that just needing it is not sufficient. The reason why you're going to be blessed with good ideas is because you've come searching. And for those who search, they will find answers. To find a good idea, you must go looking. Rarely does a good idea interrupt you. So we get not what we need, but we get what we deserve. It says if you ask, someone has an answer. If you keep asking, the answers belong to you. So we don't get what we need, we get what we deserve.
Living in mourning is going to keep the new doors from opening. You have to heal so you can see the new relationships, the new opportunities. And the quicker you let things go, the easier it is. Your time is valuable. That's a distraction trying to get you off course.
This is a verse you must remember all your life. It says, man's days are determined. That means you don't decide how long you live. Your life is on a timer.
Extreme environments will turn you into a different creature. Extreme environments will make you move differently. It can happen in the midst of a dark depression, even in the middle of a gut-wrenching heartbreak, in the midst of unimaginable loss. It can happen. My question to you is, what's about to change inside of you that's going to make people think you can defy gravity?
It takes discipline to plan. It takes discipline to execute our plan. And it takes discipline to change either our plan or our method of executing that plan if the results are poor. It takes discipline to ponder the value of someone else's opinion when our pride and our arrogance leads us to believe that we are the only ones with the answers.
What are your expectations? What do you expect to get from life? What do you expect to get from your relationships? What is your ideal day? What is it that you expect from this journey that you're involved in? People that have a strong sense of self-approval, they have high expectations for themselves and from others.
I must be great. I'm pretty. I must be great. I have this. Validation that comes from stuff is never God. I'm really rubbing the grain. Y'all with me? Are you still with me? You can't wear a watch until who made it. You step on the runway. What are you wearing? You got everybody's name on you but your own.
So no one is better or less when it comes to time and change. You become what you are by how you use your 24.
You have no idea how strong you are. You're not in this thing, life, by yourself. But one of the things that I know about this thing called life, recognize what had happened, the role that I played in it, I had to keep it moving. Got to keep it moving.
Each of us must live off the fruit of his thoughts in the future, because what you think today and tomorrow, next month and next year, will mold your life and determine your future. You're guided by your mind.
You have built-in greatness. You have built-in power to handle whatever life throws at you. And life is going to be throwing a lot of stuff. Nobody's going to be spared. That's why Viktor Frankl called it unavoidable suffering. But suffering is a choice, because you can suffer or you can choose to do whatever you need to do, overcome whatever you are stuck in right now.
Never underestimate the power of influence and associations, and never underestimate the power of your own consistent self-discipline. Sleep late, show up late. Waiting is always easier than acting. Imagine what life would be like if we didn't have to make our bed in the morning. Wouldn't it be fascinating If we didn't have to do these things, what do you suppose would become of us? You're right, not much.
One of the great distractions of chasing our dreams is this thing that goes off in our head as we're negotiating the price we're paying. Is it getting too high? Is it too much? And you'll have people in your ear, it's too big a sacrifice. You're going through too much. It distracts all your focus. You can't be executing and negotiating simultaneously. So negotiate it now. Negotiate it with me now. What are you willing to pay? For me, when I'm after something big, as long as it's legal, ethical, and moral, I'll sacrifice everything else.
Greatness is not income. On the other hand, poverty is equated to greatness in a lot of people, that if they have nothing, they must be great. And neither one is true. You're not great because you're poor. You're not great because you're rich. Your greatness is not based upon your income.
As ye sow, so shall ye reap. It's the realization that your limitations are self-imposed and that the opportunities for you today are enormous beyond belief. To use all your courage to force yourself to think positively on your own problem. To let your marvelous mind think about your goal from all possible angles.
There's some stuff you need to clean out, clear out in your life. Some activities, some relationships, some things, some events, some wrong thoughts, some misconceptions, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual rubble in your life that you need to clear out. What's the rubble in your life? It's the stuff that keeps tripping you up.